Welcome to the road to 1 million US dollars. Let's get right into the Bitcoin chart for today, starting on this 1 hour time frame for Bitcoin. Currently, we are still holding above this ascending trend line. Therefore, technically, we are still in an uptrend on this 1 hour time frame, although do keep an eye on these candle closes that are coming up in the case that we fall below, especially if we fall below 101.5k, again with confirmed candle closes. That would be a signal that likely we're heading down lower, for example, down to this big level of support sitting from 100 all the way down to 99,000. Right now on this 4 hour time frame, for example, we are just chopping this Fibonacci golden pocket sitting between 102.4k and 102.7k. So yes, getting those candle closes above the 102.7k level, that is going to be a signal that likely we are getting another bit of a move to the upside. Now, in terms of some short-term resistance, I would be looking towards this 0.786 Fibonacci level sitting at 103.7k. However, if we actually zoom out a bit, notice how, well, really what we are doing is potentially forming this falling wedge pattern. And if this breaks out to the upside here, we would be targeting this 112,000 US dollar level. So that is going to be the price target if we break out above this descending line of resistance. Currently, as of the time of recording, this resistance is sitting at 104.5k, but do notice how this trends down rather quickly. For example, on the 1st of February, this resistance is already going to sit at 102.5k, where we are actually currently trading, roughly speaking. So this is something that I'm looking out for. A falling wedge pattern is typically a bullish bias pattern, so it is more likely to break out to the upside, although of course that is not guaranteed. So invalidation for this would be if we fall below this descending line of support, because then we aren't looking at that pattern anymore. And lastly, do take note of the fact that so long as we aren't breaking out above that descending line of resistance, we aren't targeting 112,000 yet, because we haven't broken out yet at that point, right? So that's just something to take note of here in the short term. Later today, we're going to have the FOMC meeting at 8 p.m. CET. However, you can also just go to forexfactory.com where you can see all of the macroeconomic event stuff and news that is coming up. Either way, 8 p.m. CET. So I am expecting a lot of volatility around this time. Yes, potentially even leading up to this FOMC meeting, we could be seeing some chop and we could be seeing some volatility on these lower time frames. So I would say be a little bit cautious with higher leverage today, because yeah, we could see a big wick to the upside, big wick to the downside type thing. Okay, or the other way around, of course. Either way, that's something to watch out for around that FOMC meeting. But of course, that is not financial advice. I'm simply telling you what I'm seeing in the charts, and you can do with that information what you like. Next, taking a look at the Bitcoin liquidation heat map. Notice how on this 3-day time frame, most of the liquidity is to the upside, sitting at 104,000, and there is even some liquidity at 103.3k. So, I mean, during this FOMC meeting, or potentially even leading up to that, I think it's quite likely we are going to be taking out this level of liquidity here. And at the same time, we do have some liquidity at 101.7k, which I think is also likely going to be taken out on some volatility that we are going to see leading up to that. Now, if we actually zoom out to the 1 week time frame, we can see that most of the liquidity is to the upside at 107.3k. And in the case that you are not familiar with how this chart actually works, typically the Bitcoin price gets attracted to where there is the most liquidity, and right now on this specific time frame, it is to the upside. Now, zooming out to the 1 month time frame, this much higher time frame here you can see that we actually have liquidity to the upside as well as to the downside. For example, there's some liquidity at 97,000, even around this 98k level. And that is precisely why it is important to take note of the fact that technically we are still in this downtrend on the 4 hour time frame, so long as we are below this descending trend line. And therefore, so long as we are below that, it is completely possible, guys, that we just roll over here and we come down to sweep all of this liquidity once again. Now, that is not a call or a prediction, but I'm just letting you know that something like that is still completely on the table, so long as we are trading below the descending trend line. However, most of the liquidity is in fact to the upside, sitting at 109.5k on this 1 month time frame, which I do think is likely going to be taken out later on in this bull run. But of course, first we need to see a break of that resistance. We need to see a breakout of that falling wedge pattern, and then we can start talking about potentially grabbing that liquidity and taking out that price target as well. Lastly, let's take a quick look at the Bitcoin ETF flow tables. On Monday, we saw a net outflow of about $450 million from the Bitcoin ETFs, while BlackRock is still accumulating more Bitcoin. Technically, so long as we are seeing massive outflows from these Bitcoin ETFs, this is going to have a downwards pressuring effect on the Bitcoin price. However, this is only one outflow after seeing a massive amount of inflows here recently. So therefore, I'm not too worried about it. Here you can actually see the cumulative flow. So yeah, this is just massive accumulation by the Bitcoin ETFs. And therefore, the trend is technically still up in terms of the inflows into the Bitcoin ETFs. But if I really start to see a change in the momentum and the outflows here, then I will let you guys know. And of course, I will keep covering this even in tomorrow's video as well. One last thing, guys, make sure to join the Road to 1 Million community on Discord. This is one of the most active crypto trading communities in the crypto space right now. And recently we also added this altcoin analysis channel. So come check it out. Even if you are trading altcoins, then you're also going to find a great community here. Of course, it is completely free to join, and you can find the link to this in the video description. But regardless, if you do end up joining or not, thank you for watching once again, and I will see you tomorrow in the next one.